You're listening to Bold Hearts, Big Moves, the show for female entrepreneurs who want it all: a thriving business, deep self love, and fulfilling relationships. I'm Erin Anderson, and each week we will dive into how to set stronger boundaries, make empowered choices, and show up in life and business with boldness, authenticity, and heart. Because let's be real, the money you make is directly related to the love that you have for yourself and the strength of your relationships. So if you're ready to lead with love and make those big moves with those bold hearts, let's dive in. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Bold Hearts Big Moves. I have with me a really special guest. I was just featured on her podcast, the Messy Missy podcast. So go check that one out. But I have with me Melissa Moritz, and I hope I said that right because it's
You're good.
okay, I got it. I got it. I knew her first name, and we've been sitting here giggling for just a minute because I've had to like hit record like 5 or 6 times. Because I'm trying to get all the
It's all
pieces
good.
together, right? It's like it's the messy missy happening right before our eyes. But today we are chatting about creating that consistent cash flow because I know like that was something that I wanted. That's something that I know a lot of other female entrepreneurs wanted and still want, right? And I know like even for me, like if I'm going to be totally honest, like there's still some inconsistencies in my income. Not a ton, but still some inconsistencies. And I want to create more of that flow and that scale upwards, right? So, Melissa's going to chat with us today about creating that consistency because this is one of the things that she is a genius at and creating from that mess. So, thank you, Melissa, for being on.
Yes, I am a genius at making messes. I'm a
So am
genius
I.
at building businesses through our messes. Erin, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Um, I will start by saying that one of my all-time biggest, best business mentors who taught me to make the most money I've ever made in my life used to say, we print money when we're sleeping.
This is true.
Yeah. When you think about business, building a business strategy, and your end goal, right, of cash flow positive, of course, but think about the fact that you want to build a business that prints money when you sleep. So you can go on
Right.
vacation, time freedom, financial freedom, all the freedoms you could have in life. Your goal is to build a business that prints money in your sleep.
And
So,
yeah, I completely agree with that too, because the thing is, if your business is printing money when you're sleeping, that's that consistency piece, right? Like it's
mhm,
consistently happening, it's consistently coming in. We're not worrying about, oh my gosh, I've got this big bill coming in. We're like, oh, it's good. We've got this much coming in, so it's covered. You know what I mean?
yes. Well, yes. And something that just sparked a memory in my mind. So one of my last positions was CEO of a healthcare company. I scaled, and I guess you would say scaled is the right word, from 35 million to 75 million through the pandemic. And the pandemic hurt a lot of healthcare companies. But I will tell you that consistent cash flow, no matter what size business you're in, you could be in a startup. It's the same model, same model. So what's so exciting is I had to hit a payroll of $500,000 every 2 weeks in my last company. So I had to be prepared to have enough in our accounts, right? In our bank accounts. And we were self-funded, privately owned. So we didn't have anybody to go to say, hey, can I borrow a little bit of cash today. We didn't have that luxury. So to hit about $1 million a month going out the door in payroll could keep an entrepreneur, could keep a CEO awake at night.
Yeah,
So
I was
that
gonna say.
that consistency is so important. And again, I stress that it doesn't matter what size business. You could be a solopreneur in your basement, in your garage, in your kitchen table right now. Nothing changes about having consistent cash flow. It's the same for every single business.
Yes. Yes.
So I can share a real quick funny about my alarm that I just ran to get to shut off. Something that we take, I don't know if we would say it's a luxury or not, right? But is a lunchtime break. Now,
Hmm.
you think as an entrepreneur, you don't take lunchtime. And certainly as all of my other positions in life, you don't stop for lunch. If you're a mom, if you're a solopreneur, any life cycle you're in, right? There is
Yeah.
no lunch break. But I will say that one thing I had to do in my rebuilding of my latest business was I had to set an alarm where I was forced to take a break at 12:30 Monday through Friday.
And I actually think that's a wise bit of information there because if we're constantly putting our nose to the grindstone and ignoring the other pieces of our life, it's gonna feel like I know it did for me, like disconnected, right? And connection is one of the greatest things to create money. You know what I mean? And consistent money, like having that consistent connection. That's actually one of the four C's I talk about. I talk about clarity, connection, communication, and creation, right? There's those
Mm-hmm.
four C's that we use when we're creating money,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you keep mentioning this strategy, like it's the same strategy. I'd like to hear a little bit more about that. Like, what is the strategy that you have noticed?
So you use a strategy in business that is simply the the structure, the foundation, the skeleton, right? So
Hmm.
you've got pillars, which are marketing and sales, accounting and finance, um, innovation, and then your consistency and your just your drive, your discipline, all of that. So those are the pillars that I actually teach in my 12-week masterclass of going from a little bit of cash flow, no cash flow to full-blown cash flow so you can set your exit strategy, get out of corporate. And so when you mention creating consistent cash,
Hmm.
that is such a foundation that every business must
Needs.
have.
Right. Yeah.
So if you're
Agreed.
struggling with any cash flow, right? Any level of cash flow, whether it's consistent cash flow, just getting started, you have to look at more than just like the strategy. It might be in those pillars that I mentioned. It might be in your sales and marketing arm. These are the things that might be preventing you from creating that consistent cash flow,
Hmm.
right? Do you use technology? Are things like we talk about printing money overnight or while you sleep? There's technology that you must implement that creates this whole part of your business strategy, right? It's part
Yeah.
of your background, or
Yeah.
I should say, your spinal column of your business.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. I will tell you that like one of the things that I struggled with the most, and I'm still probably even tweaking it a little bit more, is like the messaging, right?
Mhm.
Like coming from betrayal trauma into more of like the business focus and like creating healthy relationships and creating a healthy relationship with yourself so that way you can create more money, right? Because that's kind of like what I stand on. But going from betrayal trauma, there's a lot of pain point marketing in that,
Mhm.
right? And then moving into, the business side of thing, it's more of a desire marketing, type of a thing.
Mm.
And so like changing the languaging and getting really good at the languaging and reaching out to the clients that I'm trying to get, like it's been a bit of a journey, but like getting your message down, right? Like getting your message down, making sure that you're communicating it clearly to your market. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about marketing, is making
Yeah,
sure that
absolutely.
you're talking to your client, not in a way that makes sense to you, but in a way that makes sense to them, right?
That's right. Well, you need to focus on the outcome. What are you going to give them as the outcome, right? A better
Mm-hmm.
life, a cash flow positive business. That's one of the outcomes of building a business is cash flow positive.
Mm-hmm.
So when we say consistent, so creating consistent cash flow, and you bring up messaging, as entrepreneurs, we get bored with consistency, right?
That's
We
interesting.
want
Okay.
we want money to flow into our pockets consistently.
Mm-hmm.
Every minute of the day, every hour of the day, every day of the week, we want that consistency. But when we then talk about, oh, well, we have to be consistent in our sales and marketing. We have to be
Mm-hmm.
consistent in our accounting practices. We have to be consistent in the technology and making sure we're using it correctly, right? All of those pieces, then we become bored because as entrepreneurs, we're innovators. We want to create something fun and energetic and
New.
magnetic,
Yes.
right? But the consistency then gets us bored to death. And so when you think about messaging, and I always like to use, I've done a lot in sales and marketing, you use reach and frequency in your messaging, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
getting off of a little bit of a tangent here, but
It's okay.
what's important with your messaging is your consistency, is your frequency. It used to be the average person would need to see what you were saying, what you were selling, all about you 3 times a day. And then they could potentially become 10% of your targeted market.
It is real life. And and it's something like it is messy and leaning into it.
And you know what?
Like,
The more you try, this is the thing, this is my whole mission is peel back the curtain, peel back the layers, pull off the band-aid, right?
mm-hmm.
We've all got the messes. The problem is that the messaging, you're messaging to look perfect. You're messaging to appear that
Oh
you can
no.
solve everybody's problems. You're messaging, the outcome that people want. Yes, you can deliver that outcome. However, show the messy along the way. Like
Yeah.
you're kudos to you. You're a working mom, same for me. And we've had to reinvent ourselves. So I would go back to I was talking about reach and frequency. So when you think of your messaging and consistency, it gets boring to us, but the person we're attracting, the consumer, the client, the person we want to spend their money with us needs more messaging from us more often and not to go down a million different. Don't keep changing what you're doing because you're not consistently cash flowing your
Yep.
business. Don't keep changing. It's in the consistency. It's in the say the same message the same way a million different times till you're blue in the face because
Yeah.
you're finally going to be consistent.
And I'm noticing that too. Like consistency is like, yeah, definitely in your messaging, but if you're changing your message many times, that's a boundary issue. Like, and you know me, I'm all about like, let's talk about boundaries for a second, right? That is
Mhm.
a listening and talking boundary violation, to be honest with you. And the reason being is because again, boundaries create that consistency. Boundaries create that pathway towards your goal.
Mm.
Boundaries create this, right? And if you feel like you're having to jump ship and here and you've got all this scatteredness because you're trying to create a dollar, it creates low trust because you're trying to people please. Your client doesn't want somebody to people please them. They want somebody to help them deliver results,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
Yes. And when you talk about boundaries and I talk about consistency or cash flowing a business or whatever it might be, you know what? Those are some of the most difficult things to do.
Yeah.
Build a boundary, hold the boundary, be consistent, hold the consistency day in and day out when all of it gets boring or
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah. But you know what's really fun? I think like I talk boundaries until I'm blue in the face, right? Like you're right. You got to talk, speak it, speak it, speak it. And granted, like yeah, in my podcast, there's like, hey, let's talk about consistent cash flow. Hey, let's talk about the eight-figure business model. Let's talk about like all these things. But their boundaries literally scattered all through every single episode, right? I
Right.
don't have
That's
to
right.
say boundaries. They're just scattered through every single episode. But when I come and I'm like, okay, if you guys want to onboard, if I'm trying to onboard somebody, I'm totally talking boundaries with them because
That's
that's
your
my model.
consistency.
That's my consistency. That's the thing I'm saying. But when you're unique and you've got a unique message, that innovation is very, very almost kind of easy to do, right? Because it's so exciting. Like
Mm,
talking about like boundaries as, you know, not I teach it in such a different way where people are like, okay, boundaries are this distance between you and them and what somebody else should do or how to get somebody else to respond and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I teach boundaries as no, boundaries are about setting your goal, and understanding who you are when you hit that goal and not and refusing to be hooked out of that because somebody else thinks this or somebody else has this judgment or somebody else has this emotional reaction to your success, right? Those are all hooks. I teach it that way and it makes way more sense. People run with it a lot faster, right? And it's something that lights me up because I get to see the result. And so when we're talking innovation, we're talking that consistency, it's easy when you love what you teach.
absolutely. You have to build a business around something you love. So
Yes.
if you're trying to fit into a mold of, like I referenced a course, or you follow somebody on social media, or you see other people doing something and they reference that they have consistent cash flow.
Hmm.
And then you're going to say, okay, but then I'll go try what she's doing. I'll try to do what she does. That's where you're totally wrong. Actually, you would have more self-respect in building yourself a boundary to not do that.
Hmm.
You have to dig into what makes you special, what makes you unique, what your
Yes.
why, right?
Yes.
Why you get up every morning. And there's something inside of you. They call it, I don't love this term, they call it the zone of genius, right? So you have to identify with that thing first.
Well,
And
see,
I'm on the verge. Oh, go ahead. Go
yeah,
ahead.
I want to say, okay, I am with you. I don't like that term either. I just call it I am a genius, right? Like that's way more connected to the truth. Like if you understand that you are a genius, right? And that you have genius ideas, whoo, okay, that's a whole lot different than your zone of genius. It's like you're
Okay.
stepping in and out of that. When you actually say I'm a genius, that's something that stays with you. Let's like just change that right there.
Yes. Okay. And so I'm going to tie us together right here.
Okay, let's do it.
The Messy Missy podcast is all about building businesses through our messes, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When you find yourself in a mess, you're going to question everything about yourself. You're going to feel unworthy. You're going to feel that you are not a genius in any aspect of your life. And you're going to need to work with Aaron on a boundary. That
Let's
is
do it.
the first thing you need to do because you're never going to get to consistent cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
You have to build beautiful boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
You have to understand that your mess, and I say mess, right? Like, what does that mean? It means divorce, it means bankruptcy, it means debt, it means all the things that society has deemed we should hide behind them. We should keep them behind a curtain, right?
Yeah, I agree with that.
The
Yeah,
soonest you use your mess to build something beautiful and to have boundaries around it and to understand you are worthy and you are a genius, you've already broken down a major part of the wall that is keeping you from consistent cash flow right there.
right. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, and that's like such a big piece to this as well. Breaking down that wall and allowing people to go on a vulnerable journey with you. I had a client once, and I really wish she would have stuck with her story. She still had some trauma to work through. But her mess, let's like her house burned down while she was working with me, right? Um, her she had the state like talking about taking her kids away. She had a stalker. She had like all of this stuff. But if she would have put in like the consistent effort to grow and scale and be somebody different, what kind of a message would she have had in 1 year? Like 1 year ago, I was XYZ, right? My house had burned down, all these things. Today, I'm living in this. I've got my kids with me. I'm creating this, and let me tell you how I did it. Right? Like,
And that's the messaging piece that
yeah,
we were just talking about.
yeah.
Take somebody on a journey. Stop following somebody who you see the way they're doing it or running their business. Stop trying to emulate them. I think that there's a place for imitation and emulation, but when you're building a business, it's got to be unique to you. It's got to be 110% you,
Hmm.
your
Yeah.
genius. And
Yes.
you just mentioned something else, Erin, that I'd love to tie in here.
Yeah.
Um, about we're both faith-based
Oh,
in
yes.
different ways.
Oh, yes. Okay, let me show you this. I know, like, that are listening can't see this, but there's a little mini Jesus on my desk right now. He's a
With
little
a
cartoon.
sash that says
Yes.
Jesus loves you.
Yes. And so there's this cute little mini Jesus that sits here on my desk. And so he's looking over my business, like he's helping me, right? So
No,
yes.
I love
I love
that.
it. I love him. I love him so much. Anyway.
And so I think when you talk faith and you talk business, and that can be messy, you mentioned something about messages, and
Hmm.
there are messages through our messes, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. I have got to tell you. I have had a lot of coaches that have come to me through like podcasting or like wanting to know how I'm doing, what I'm doing, et cetera, et cetera. And the one thing they always ask me is, where did I get all my certifications from? I don't, God, like legit. I'm not
Amen.
I'm not even joking. Like I don't have all of these certifications. I don't. And there are some clients that want me to have all these certifications. That's cool. That's fine. I'm not your gal, right? But the client that actually wants to get in and take fast, quick action, yeah, I can totally help you because I've listened to what God has told me. I have done what God has told me to do, and it worked, right?
Exactly. You
Right?
don't need, okay, I will tell you, you don't need an MBA to
Mm-mm.
have a multi-million dollar business. You do
Nope.
not need it. You need to work with somebody who has done what
What
you
you
want to do.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And get out of your own way, right? Like
That
totally.
that's
Get out of
it.
your own way.
Get out of your own way. And I mentioned, solopreneurship. I will say solopreneurship is super hard
Yes, it
because
is.
it is hard to be consistent by yourself. I don't care how much self-discipline you can claim you have. I'm sorry. I used to think I was the most self-disciplined person in the world.
No,
Right.
right? Like
You need accountability partners, you need coaches, you need people in your circle.
you need people.
Amen.
You need the connection, right? There's that second C.
There you
Clarity,
go.
connection, communication, creation, right? Like all of those four C's. That's what it takes. And like I said, connecting to people has been one of the biggest things that has caused my business to be successful, right? This is why we do podcasts. This is why we do, the joint ventures and things like that. That's such a great way to scale and grow your business. Okay, so here's the question that is like burning for me, right? So a lot of these clients like that I have, they've done all the work, they've done the strategy, they are doing everything right, but they're not bringing in that consistent cash flow. And the thing that I say is it's a visibility thing, right? We've got to get in, we've got to be a lot more visible to the right people. So definitely like the messaging, we've talked about that, but where do we stand out?
So I would say it's a really one-on-one situation because unless you know exactly who you're working with, like I would say my genius is not to toot my own horn, but to say when I work with somebody one-on-one for whatever amount of time from my business background, from the business strategy, from everything that I've done feet on the ground, I can then point to a woman in her midlife that's gone through these messes that I can figure out that missing piece. And then she'll go and apply it and come back to me. And if that worked, great. If it didn't work, we're still tweaking it. It's a consistent
Right,
process of fine tuning. It could be in the messaging. It could be in your sales page. It could be in, we just don't know until we really look at all of the pieces of the business that you've built out, that you've put together to make sure that it's resonating with the person it's meant to hit. It's got to You're asking somebody to open up their pocketbook, their wallet to pay you for what? And I always say, look at the end first, right?
hmm
What do you want them to buy from you? What is it going to do for their life? How is it going to make them better? How is it going to make their life easier? What problem are you solving? Start with that.
right,
If you're solving somebody's problem, darn right, I'm opening up my wallet and paying you those monies right now because you're
right,
solving one of the problems that's keeping
right.
me from living my dreams.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Right? And
So for
that's,
you,
go
if
ahead.
it's like, if people can't build a boundary to move their life forward in the way that's going to make their dreams come true, right? They need you. They need
hmm
to work with you.
hmm Yeah, yeah. And it is true. It is absolutely true. And like I said, and a lot of people do want to work with me because I am so unique, right? And so there's that piece that it's easy, it's implementable, all those things. Like let's talk about that. And this is the thing about visibility. This is the piece that I wanted to say. That visibility isn't about standing in front of a whole crowd naked. Like that definitely is visible, right? But let's redefine visibility. Showcase your confidence, showcase your messaging. But it doesn't mean that you have to showcase it to a million people. It means that you have to showcase it to the right person. So you got to figure
Absolutely.
out like where your people are, like where are they hanging out
Mhm.
on social media. Uh, let's talk about like LinkedIn. Like LinkedIn is going to be one of the big pieces for me because I've got, the female entrepreneur that's up there. Like maybe she is even creating consistent cash, but it feels so incredibly disorganized and messy. And she's worried about holding on to it and like all those things, right? Well, guess what? Let's implement some boundaries. Let's figure out like where the stress and the trauma is. Let's like figure that kind of stuff out, right? That's my messaging. That is what creates me to be visible to the right people, right?
Mhm.
Yes, we
Yep.
want to be seen, but the right pieces of us.
Mhm.
Make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're being seen as somebody who's chaotic and disjointed or not even consistent, right? Like people are watching this.
Hmm.
People are
People
watching
want to
this.
know, people want to know you, they want to like you, and they want to trust you.
Yes. Yes. And that comes from consistency, and that type of consistency creates consistent income.
And
I
stop
love
hiding
it.
behind your messes.
Yes. Yes. Let's like talk about the misses. Okay, last thing. I have a good friend in one of my masterminding groups, and then she's also in a couple of Facebook groups. She is like one of my favorite people ever, but she posted such a vulnerable post today about like how her husband was uh he's getting laid off in like 30 to 60 days. And so her business needs to stop being the supplemental thing, but go into creating the full-time income, right?
Mhm.
And she's kind of like freaking out. She's like, this is what I help people to do, but I'm like struggling to do it for
Yeah.
myself, right? And bless her heart, like I'm like, up there clapping for her and I'm like inspired by her. I'm like, I'm gonna go create a vulnerable post too today, right? Like that's what I'm thinking to myself because it is powerful. And you're right. Like if you think that vulnerability is weakness, it's not. It is the thing that connects people to you. It
Right.
is allowing people to see you, right? Because
Yeah. I
nobody's
think
striving for
we're afraid
perfection.
of judgment. We're
Uh,
afraid of
yeah.
judgment. Being certain parts of our stories and our vulnerabilities expose, like I love the Band-Aid analogy because a Band-Aid is covering up a wound, not a scar. And when you cover up a wound, it's still healing.
Hmm.
When you're ready to take the Band-Aid off and you have a scar there, you have a story to talk about.
Yes. Yes. And let me say one more thing too about scars. Okay, because I am no stranger to scars. I'm so not. One of the things a doctor taught me one time about scar tissue is that it's really, really clumped. It's really, really tight, right? You have to get in there and you have to massage it like heck to break that scar tissue up. This is what visibility is. It's that massaging that scar tissue.
That is an incredible message. I just love this podcast. I've had so much fun because I just thought about my C-section scars.
Hmm.
And I am proud of my C-section scars because they're
Yeah,
what has connected me as my first scar in life of being a parent.
it's the creation scar, right?
Right. So many of our scars, I ran a physical therapy center and part of my healthcare business, and we used a special tool called micropoint current stimulation that would break up the scar.
Hmm.
And I just really love how you said that scar is all hard and tangled and coarse and whatnot, right?
Hmm.
When you start to give it a little love and attention and you break it
Hmm.
up,
Hmm.
and that whole analogy right there is exactly how you're going to build a business.
Yep,
You're going to
totally.
take a piece of your scar and you're going to help somebody else who's going through it, whose wound hasn't turned to a scar yet. And you are going to monetize the whatever word you want to put in there. You are going to monetize the heck out of that scar because your business is built on serving others and helping others. And the cash collection, the consistent cash flows as soon as you build those boundaries, you're consistent, you build a connection with people, you serve people, and you help people.
Yes.
That's
That's
it.
it. That's it. I love it. Okay. All right, Melissa, definitely go check out the Messy Missy podcast. My gosh, that is such a tongue twister, but I love it because it's so true. I love it. Go check out the Messy Missy
Thank
podcast.
you.
Definitely listen to the episode that Melissa and I did together over there as well. I think you
Yes,
guys will love that.
I just
And
posted it. It's diapers, debt, depression to seven-figure coaching,
heck
baby.
yes, 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 right? We're on our way. We are so on our way. And you've got to send me that link because that will be awesome. And
Oh,
you
I
know what?
will.
We'll put it in the show notes too.
Thank
We'll
you.
definitely
I
put
have a
that in
few
the
things
show
I'll send
notes.
you for the show notes because I offer my one-to-one strategy session for free. And I always say it's free, not because my time is not valuable. It's free because that's how I pay it forward. That's how I serve you. That's how you fill my cup up when you want to work one-on-one with me so I can help you become that genius. So I can help you with that consistent cash flow. I want to build everyone around me to be multi-millionaires through consistent cash flow.
Oh, that would be awesome. And it's possible. Even in today's economy, it's super possible.
God knows the plans he has for you.
Yes, he does. Yes, he
And he does
does.
not give you a dream or put something on your heart that is not meant to come to fruition. So if
Yeah,
you have that burn on your heart from God, God wants you to be wealthy.
he does. And, I'm a firm believer that God wants us to be like him, and he is the greatest creator and the greatest of all. He has all the wealth.
Mm-hmm.
If we want to
Yep.
be like him, we get to accept a lot more.
And if he
So,
took it away from you, this was my really hard lesson this year. If he took it away from you, it wasn't meant for you, but you are meant for more than you had.
and God always wants to give it to you. Always. Always. And
But you got
even
to
if
show
he
up
did,
and do the
it,
work.
totally. And if he took it away from you, there's a lesson in it. Learn it because from there you get so much more. So much more. Love
I
it.
love working with you, Erin. This has made my day. This is so much fun. Thank you.
I agree. Yeah,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Melissa. Thank you for being here, guys. I go check out Melissa's podcast, the Messy Missy podcast. And until then, we will see you guys next time. Oh, and schedule that call with her too. See you
What do
guys
you have
next
to
time.
lose?
Yeah, right? Do it. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.
All right, Boundary Boss Babes. I'm super excited that you tuned in with me today. Make sure you tune in again next week as we chat about more Boundary Boss Babe topics. We're going to get into so many other things about how to set boundaries with your business, how to set boundaries with your relationships, so you can truly have the time, the money, and the flexibility that you are seeking. So tune in next week. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast. Let your other Boss Babe friends know about it. And also, if you've got any questions, make sure you submit them into the podcast by clicking on the send us a text message at the bottom of the podcast description. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. See you later, Boss Babes.